Team Human.
Experience world-class hockey in Minnesota. The 2026 IIHF World Juniors showcase the future stars of the game in an unforgettable tournament. You can secure your seats now, mnsportsandevents.org, to be part of hockey history, mnsportsandevents.org.
Welcome back. Final hour, 9 to noon here, TCO Studios. Thanks again, Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah, Vikings general manager, for subbing in X's and O's with head coach Kevin O'Connell. Good conversation last segment. You get to hear that via the X's and O's show, podcastable with the free iHeartRadio app as well. We opened the show. We're your home for Vikings football, obviously. We're your home for Wild Hockey, the fan. Trying to effort as of now, hoping John Hines, head coach of the Wild, can join us via phone as part of the Wednesday Christmas Eve feast tomorrow at Buffalo Wild Wings in Roseville. But to that end, we're also your home for Timberwolves basketball. The Wolves hosting the Knicks tonight. An undermanned operation, fresh off the big cup last week. The Knicks are going to be without Jalen Brunson tonight, OG Anunoby, Landry Shamet. Now we're digging into daily fantasy-related bits. But all the same, Kat, Josh Hart, most of the Knicks will be on the hardwood tonight against your Timberwolves. Winners 8 of 10, most recently a dub over the Milwaukee Bucks. So a chance for Anthony Edwards and those at Target Center tonight to find another win. To open the show, if you did miss it, we chatted with head coach Chris Finch, and that's always brought to you not just by Second Harvest Heartland, but thanks to our buddies at Prize Picks. Speaking of daily fantasy, Prize Picks proudly presents Chris Finch on a weekly basis, 9 to noon. He chatted with PA to open the show, and he kicked things off like PA's like, hey, these Knicks tonight should be a humdinger, right?
Yeah, we're looking forward to it. And one of the top teams in the league, coming off their cup victory the other day, playing with a ton of momentum, and really hard team to guard.
Yeah, they're going to sit Jalen Brunson this evening with ankle management. How do you think that changes the game?
Well, I mean, of course, he's such a phenomenal player, and he's been such an excellent closer for them. Really, really great in the closing minutes of games. Certainly their engine, but they're 12-7 without him in the last 2 years. That's a pretty good percentage of wins there, and they got a lot of talented players. We know Cat's still a threat. They play with great connectivity on offense, play fast, really share the ball well, beat you up on the offensive glass, pretty good defensively too. So they're a complete team. They're not just relying on one guy.
Probably, before picks and switches and everything, probably a good test for Anthony Edwards tonight with OG Anunoby, don't you think?
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's always a lot of attention put on Ant. They'll crowd him for sure. They'll send multiple bodies at him. They got a lot of guys that can guard him, got guys who like to guard. So they got a lot of two-way players on their roster with Bridges and Hart. So they'll definitely they'll try to make life as difficult as possible.
Did you happen to see Adelman Saturday night? He got mad Saturday night like you did Friday night.
Yeah, no, I just saw a little clip of I guess his first technical, but I did not watch the game and didn't really see the ejection part.
What just like overall, what are you and other coaches seeking from officials? Does it come down to more consistency?
Well, I think that's what everyone's going to say. That's what the league will say. That's what the officials will say. We're all striving for some level of consistency. But I think there's more to it than that. I think for me, it's about we got to do a better job of getting the basics right. We got to get the obvious ones. I think we've overcomplicated the way we look at the game sometimes from a refereeing or officiating perspective. We've all been around the league. We know what a foul is. We know what a foul baiting looks like too. So, and these gray areas, there's going to be a ton of subjectivity. I think we're all fine with that as long as that subjectivity is kind of evened out. And at a level of the level that we're playing at, we know there's going to be some night-to-night differences, but there can't be such drastic night-to-night differences. There's got to be a standard of play that we're trying to achieve every single night.
Friday night, when you were walking away by the bench, did somebody yell something at you? Like because I know the officials, they'll bark back and they have opinions. Did somebody yell something at you?
You mean like a fan? Or a referee? Well,
no, like one of the refs, because you were walking away and then you just turned around and then it was on.
Oh, you talking about? No, it's actually so generally, when you have, I definitely wanted the first technical PA. That was something I wanted. I wanted to send a message. I wanted to be heard. And then, generally you don't get two technicals for one incident. That's kind of the unwritten rule. So I got a second technical, and then that's really what annoyed me more than anything else, is to get the second technical for basically the one outburst. One outburst, two technicals, generally not how it goes.
I know you were fined, but did you get a chance to discuss matters with anybody from the league? After this took place on Friday?
Well, any disciplinary process, the league has a protocol that they go through. They have a league investigator call you, go through the timeline of events, things that were done or said. It's very much a he said, she said process. You don't really have much of a appeal process in it. I spoke to the league after the fine was issued, talked to them. I thought, tried to figure out how they got to that number, that level of fine. So there's an open dialogue, but the reality is the league is, judge and jury in these situations. So
and the fine was $35,000. I mean, that's more than a little walking around money. Did you expect it to be more?
Yeah, it's a Toyota Prius.
Did you expect it to be more, though?
No, I mean, precedent was is general. It was. I expected it to be a little less, PA, to be honest.
Okay. With you. Chris Finch, coach of the Minnesota Timberwolves, courtesy of Second Harvest Heartland and twoharvest.org. Meanwhile, from that victory Friday night against Oklahoma City, seriously, man, good work by your staff. Because we're 6 minutes into the game, we lose the head coach.
Yeah.
And OKC's on the other side of the gym. What are some things they did that you liked over the course of 3.5 quarters?
Well, I got a great staff that, led by Micah, who's very comfortable taking over in those situations. And what they did is they just kept pushing the guys to stay aggressive, and we were, rewarded with, a better whistle and get to the free throw line. And, I thought they did a really good job of executing the game plan, staying on point there, managing the rotations, kind of according to who OKC had on the floor. We did a good job of matching some of their rotations. So, I've never had much of a worry, and I don't try to micromanage those situations, whether it had been the only other previous time I've been ejected or when I had the knee injury and I was a little bit removed from the action. I trust those guys. It's I'm not trying to stay in communication with them, having somebody run back and forth to the bench or texting anybody or anything like that. I trust them. And it's hard to be in the battle and looking over your shoulder trying to get orders all the time from somebody. You gotta go with your experience, your gut, your feel. And I trust our guys 100% to be able to do it. And they're going to make decisions and they're going to work or not work. And I'm fine with that.
So when you were watching the final 3.5 quarters on Friday night, did you notice a change in the officiating after you left?
Well, yeah, for sure. I mean, definitely. I thought the whistle had evened out a bit. I mean, we weren't getting much whistle at all before that. So yeah, I think there was a long way to go in the game. So I'm sure whether I was there or was not there would have probably corrected itself somehow. But the guys, like I said, did a really good job of staying aggressive, and that's what you got to do against a really aggressive defense.
Well, the foul on Edwards and that not being called, I don't know, man. Last 4 years, we've seen that 50 times. That one on Julius Randle with two guys, I mean, that's unbelievable. I mean, I can't say that I've ever seen a foul in the NBA with two people 10 to 15 feet away looking right at it, not blowing their whistles. I mean, when you talked to the investigator, did you get any clarity as to like why they didn't call it? Was it just a bad moment?
Well, unfortunately, in the process, you know, the incidents of the game that might trigger something are not discussed. So they're not really part of the equation. You're just expected to be able to handle those moments, and then, you know, gauge your conduct accordingly. So we don't talk about that. Like, that's not, you know, in my disciplinary process, that's not part of the equation. So that would be a whole separate conversation that you would have to have with refereeing operations and basketball operations, and then, you know, we've had those conversations countless times, but quite honestly, I find those equally frustrating. So
right. I wonder if Friday night and Saturday night with Adelman, I wonder if laying on the sword, so to speak, certainly for you Friday, maybe David a little bit on Saturday. Yeah, I wonder if that ruffled feathers behind the scenes. I mean, maybe there are wheels turning right now that you're not going to know about, but somebody jumps up with the refs and is like, look, this is getting ridiculous, guys. We have to improve with at least the basic calls. You think that happened?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, we can only hope that. We know the referees the referee department is working hard to you know, get young guys trained up to find consistency. We understand that, and we also understand that we're in a bit of a transition period. We've had a lot of really experienced referees leave the game in the last couple of years. Pace of the game has never been higher. Right. Technology, replay, all this stuff puts even more of a emphasis and critical eye on what's being called and not called, and it's creating you know, a very tough environment to be an official. Quite honestly, I would never really want to be one, but we do have to get better at it. I think we got to make strides there in a hurry. You know, there was other instances in the week that preceded myself and David. Ime had made some comments post game. JB had made some comments. JB Biggerstaff had made some comments post game too. So, you know, we've got to do a better job of keeping our emotions in check. But, you know, sometimes in the middle of the season right now, like it you know, it gets hard. You know, that's what, and you see it a little bit in the NFL too. You know, generally you don't hear much complaining about NFL officiating, but we've heard more in the last 2 weeks than we've heard in a while. So it might be just the state of the modern sports landscape.
That's head coach Chris Finch with PA. Weekly guest, by the way, thanks to Second Harvest Heartland, as well as Prize Picks. Prize Picks, leader in daily fantasy sports. You've heard me talk about it. I love Prize Picks and Second Harvest Heartland. And the Wolves are hosting the Knicks tonight. Looking forward to a W for your favorite hoops team. When we return, Christmas football at U.S. Bank Stadium. Ben Goessling covers the Vikings for the Minnesota Star Tribune. He's at TCO Studios with me next. Final hour right here on The Fan.
This Talkback Tuesday, we're delivering holiday cheer and Vikings tickets. Open KFAN on the iHeartRadio app. Hit the microphone icon. You have 30 seconds or less to tell us which Viking has been the biggest gift this year. Winners selected all day. Get details, KFAN.com, keyword contest.
Welcome back, 9 to noon. PA, everything's fine. It just, he did actually have to dip out a bit early today, 9 to noon. But it's Nordo. Here we are, TCO Studios in Eagan. courtesy of the Star Tribune, but also Standard Heating and Air. Thank you, Standard Heating and Air, on a weekly basis for providing us the insight and intel of one Ben Goessling, who you can follow at Ben Goessling via X. And he's in studio now. How you doing, man?
I am doing well. Just got back from New York last night. We did a surprise trip for my kids. So we went Friday morning and told them Friday morning, hey, we're going to New York City right before Christmas time. Hadn't done that before. So
sounds awesome.
Yeah, we sprung it on them Friday morning. They were pretty stunned, which was a lot of fun. So we stayed until yesterday afternoon knowing there'd be no access. So yeah, just got back last night and back for kind of the 1 week crammed into one day.
Yeah.
Routine before a Thursday game. That's typically how it goes.
So did when you're in New York, and then we'll jump to the football team.
Yeah.
Is it Rockefeller Center that still has the giant tree? Did you do some of the Christmassy things as part of your trip out there?
We did. We went to both of my kids are in dance stuff. So we went to the Rockettes on Friday night, saw the tree, did a carriage ride through Central Park. My wife took the kids to a Broadway show on Sunday while I was covering the theatrical performance out in East Rutherford.
Yeah.
And then we did...
Definitely off-Broadway, one was.
That one was decidedly off-Broadway. And then we went to Macy's on Monday to kind of see the whole 34th Street thing. So we did a lot of the very typical Christmassy stuff in New York City, and we had a blast. But, it was one of those things when the schedule came out, it was like, hey, we got to do it because the Vikings aren't going to play here very often right before Christmas. So, yeah, let's do it. Let's make it a total surprise. And it was a lot of fun. No,
that's good. And welcome back. And you mentioned it, no access yesterday. And normally we had Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah in for X's and O's today. And that's the short week aspect of things. Right. We did this during the Chargers week as well, I believe. But normally I've heard from the coach immediately after the game, shortly after, the post game. I've heard from him Monday afternoon, and then I'd be sitting here after hearing him then for a third time on a Tuesday with the X's and O's chat. I kind of need some KO in my life, to be honest with you, because, of course, the hottest topic, it sounds like Kevin's going to jump on the microphone around 12:50-ish today and address the media again for the first time since Sunday, but certainly news coming out of albeit a victory, 3 in a row for the Vikings at MetLife, the hand. The QB. The third injury that the young kid has sustained in the 2025 season, from the ankle to the concussion to the hand. I need some KO in my life to tell me exactly what I'm looking at Christmas Day afternoon at 3:30. I don't know how they choose who gets to ask the first question. I assume it'll be something related to J.J. McCarthy and that hand.
Yeah, it probably will. And he may come out and kind of give us some of that information. He's generally pretty good about, in that opening statement, giving some injury information right off the bat, which, not every coach does.
Right.
As anyone who was here from 2014 to 2021 could tell you. He may address it right off the top and say, kind of where things are at with McCarthy after the MRI yesterday and then what they're going to do this week. Yeah, I wouldn't think it would take very long to come up. But yes, that is topic number one, because it looked on Sunday like he was taking another step forward. And he had the pick six that was called back because of the offside penalty, and obviously had the strip sack that went for a touchdown. The pick six was off Jalen Naylor's hands, and the strip sack, if you watch it back, he did look like he was trying to dirt it.
He was. After
the screen to Justin Jefferson got blown up by Abdul Carter.
Yeah, he actually fumbled it before Burns even hits him.
He did. And, Kevin O'Connell said after the game that he wasn't sure if McCarthy had the ability to grip the ball at that point. And my understanding is when they were doing the MRI yesterday, they were worried more about a ligament issue. Obviously, the x-rays came back negative. So that is topic number one, because the durability has certainly been an issue for him this year. And when he's had a little bit of consistency for the first time this year, they wanted to see that continue. And this will determine whether or not we see him again this year, I think.
Yeah, it's just hopefully with McCarthy that things are turned around, the development process continues, and maybe as Vikings fans we can all look back in time and just, you remember 2025? Remember how freaking awful that was?
Look back and laugh.
And he couldn't stay on the field. And now, as he enters, let's say, his 60th consecutive start, we'll all just be like, man, that was bad. But now all I'm seeing is this good. It's just crazy what we've watched with him this year. I'm glad you pointed, because it has really been, the exhausting conversation of, is he getting better? What are those growth moments? The last 2.5 games, I have to say 2.5, sadly, because of the hand, there were true measurable moments where you can say the kid gets it. He's operating faster. Things make sense. He's taking the easy ones, and it's the pitch and catch and all the terminology that we've heard from the coach. That pass that he had. How about Addison dropping that opening drive touchdown. I was doing Vikings Rewind last night, and I played the field goal highlight. I'm like, the reason I got to stick you with a field goal highlight here, ladies and gentlemen, is because McCarthy, with Lawrence in his face, Dexter Lawrence, about to eat him for freaking dinner, throws a dime to Addison in the end zone, and Addison basket catches it and then just lets it fall. Yeah. There are measurable moments that we're seeing. We got to pick in, sometimes we got to dig deep, but we're seeing them. But if you can't stay on the field, none of it matters.
That's correct. The throw to Addison certainly is one that sticks out. I think he had a throw to Jefferson that went for a completion on the sideline that he put it right where you'd want him to do it. Yeah. And that's a throw we've seen him struggle with at times, that out route that's gotten picked off a couple times. Certainly the pick six in the first game against the Bears was on a similar play to that. So there are things that are getting better timing-wise.
The pick, the Paulson Adebo.
Yep.
Naylor's got to catch that one, too.
No doubt. And there's been a lot of that stuff. And some of this has been this question of, are they still getting used to a guy that throws with a lot of heat? Justin Jefferson, I've asked him about this. He said it is one of the faster balls he's caught. And you do have to adjust to that, but he's also said there's no excuse. When you're getting paid what Justin Jefferson's getting paid, or you're getting the opportunities and the opportunities to possibly get paid what Jordan Addison hopes to be getting paid, right, you have to catch those balls. And at Addison, it's been an issue more than it should be, especially this year. And yes, the quarterback may play into that a little bit, but if it's in your hands in the end zone, you got to come down with it. There's not much that you can do about that.
There's a chance when the head coach talks today, it could be, well, I didn't practice yesterday. We are continuing to evaluate the hand. Yeah. We just want to make sure that, if he gets the opportunity to get some reps in.
Yep.
And we don't get an answer today.
Very possible.
Will it be JJ? Will it be Brosmer? About Max, though, what did you think about, Max comes in and that start. You want to talk about needing to cleanse the palate after what we saw in Seattle for the former Gopher. But he made a couple of throws, and, when he was with the Gophers, and I think it was PJ Fleck, and he, again, terminology and bits, they're endless. But PJ was like, he's a kid that fails fast and learns even faster. Okay. I'm kind of paraphrasing for the coach. I don't want to. I don't want to mix up the poetry with PJ Fleck, but it was something of that nature where this is a kid that takes the L's, but then he doesn't make the same types of mistakes twice. Yeah. Small sample size. I thought he made he had some good moments against, albeit certainly just a hideous Giants team.
Yeah, a hideous Giants team that certainly had a secondary that could be picked on if you had opportunities to do it. That front was a lot to deal with, and I think they, especially with the offensive line health issues that they had again, they had some struggles with that at times against the Giants. But yes, when Brosmer had time and largely, I think, was able to make a lot of things happen in the way that he did not in the first game, I thought he looked a lot better. The throw to Justin Jefferson for 21 yards on the 3rd and 17.
That was nice.
That was very well done. Jefferson said after the game that he put it in a perfect spot. He said he threw a perfect ball. That was one of those that, Jefferson makes a great catch to come down with it, but it was an inverted cover two where I think the safety came up and played the flat and the corner took the deep half, and Brosmer sees it, still realizes I can put the ball kind of in that corner spot where you like to go on a cover two, puts it where only Jefferson can catch it, and Jefferson makes a great catch, as we've seen him do, where he lays out, is able to come down with it and still get his feet down. The whole thing was extremely well done. So if you're making those types of throws, you need to see it more consistently. But that play set up the field goal that won the game. So, when you're coming off of a shutout, progress is a good thing.
Yeah.
And we certainly saw some of that with him on Sunday.
Any type of production helps. Now, this team, and sadly, it's silver lining season for a 7-win team that's not going to be in the postseason. But this time of year, we've seen it again. They've won 3 in a row.
Yeah.
Kind of the idea of, wow, it's great that these guys keep coming out with that fire. These guys keep coming out and giving their all, despite the fact that the ultimate carrot will not be at the end of that stick. Ligament thing with the hand. I mean, it kind of feels like, I'm curious to see how the coach handles it today, because for me, if he can play, I've wanted McCarthy out there to get all those reps, get all those snaps. We want to answer questions. But there's part of me that also says at this stage, guys, we might just need to put this thing to rest.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of that goes into it. And I go back to earlier in the year when they weren't playing him because he wasn't fully healthy. I would think that they're going to be cautious with him in the long-term setting. And if that means not putting him back out there this week, I would bet that's how they're going to go. Because the other thing you have to think about is Christian Darrisaw shut down for the year. Now, I think Justin School has filled in more consistently the last couple of weeks than we've seen him do throughout the year.
He's a little bit better than he was the first couple of weeks of the season, certainly.
Yeah, we're not necessarily clearing the highest bar there, but it's been a little bit better that way. But then you have Ryan Kelly again in the concussion protocol, and I can't imagine he plays Thursday unless we find out something about how he would have been listed as a DNP yesterday. So I would think that he is, in fact, in the protocol officially. We'll get the language from that from Kevin O'Connell later. But when you have that, you have Brian O'Neill working through a heel injury, playing through things. Your offensive line is once again not in a great spot. So, yeah, I would think this week especially, it's probably more likely Max Brosmer, because I just don't think you want to. The other thing at this point of the year is you don't want to have guys sustain injuries that mean they're rehabbing well into the offseason and can't get ready for 2026 on the time frame that they would like. That's part of the reason I think they shut Christian Darrisaw down, is let's not make this an issue into 2026. And I don't think there was not a new injury to my understanding. It was, swelling and soreness and things he's still working through, but they wanted to say, let's hit the reset button and let's make this not a problem.
Yeah.
Rather than having something that may linger. So I think all of that, you could make the argument that McCarthy would be better off just kind of shutting it down. But then the problem with that becomes your sample size is not big enough.
No.
And the durability question is not solved to a degree that you can say, we know exactly what we have going into 26.
I think this is potentially, I hate to be doom and gloom. This is my team. I want them to win every game. Yeah. This feels in some ways like worst case scenario, if that makes sense. Yeah. From the standpoint that, yes, you're ending this season the way we had spoken about it, especially once he came back in that Lions game, and then sadly he had to miss with a concussion and such, was let's get 12, 13, or whatever it was going to be, 11, 12 starts. And then by the end of that, to have a definitive answer, not that he's going to be at the elite upper echelon or the bottom of the barrel, but just that this thing could potentially work. That it's going to be better in week 18 than it was in week 9. And you're potentially leaving here now with no answer to that question. You appreciate those 2.5 games, but the lack of durability and the lack of reps at a high level is going to send you into an off season where you're going to be doing podcasts and writing articles about it. You're checking to see how much Mac Jones is going to be making or what the trade equity would be to acquire him and other various veterans.
Can't wait.
Hey, how's that shoulder going with Carson Wentz? I wonder what's up with him. Hey, Daniel Jones, how's the Achilles recovery? I do, in fairness, I think no matter, if he's healthy through these final 2 here and through last week in the second half, I think there's still veteran QB conversations, but the lack of an answer is really, in some ways, hyperbolic, maybe devastating in terms of going into this offseason not having an answer there.
Yeah, because it means that a team that has cap issues, a team that has to make a lot of decisions about the finances heading into 2026, has to think about how much money do we allocate towards the quarterback position. You would like to be going into 2026 saying, we don't need to worry about that.
Right.
We have a young quarterback that we know is moving in the right direction. He's our guy. We've seen enough consistency to say, yes, we can continue to build this thing around him. He's affordable for another 2 years, maybe 3 if you consider the 5th-year option to be affordable. And you don't have to worry about staffing that position in a way that may lead to somebody else coming in to start. If we end this thing here, I don't know that you can go into 2026 and do that. I mean, if you decide to do that, I think you are, playing a little bit of the hope as a strategy game. And I don't know that they want to do that, especially when a lot of this roster is not set up at this point with a ton of financial flexibility to go out and add to it and fix things if you are paying another quarterback. So, right. I mean, there are ways to figure that out. There's a number of buttons Rob Brzezinski can push financially as he is so adept at doing to fix some of these things. But they're not in a situation where going out to compete for a top dollar quarterback is terribly financially viable. So, that is the fact that we're going to have to look at that at all is not a great time for them to want to do that, given where they're set up financially and given where they hoped to be kind of building around a young quarterback at this point.
Let's pause there because I have a couple of questions down that road in terms of, because it's tough. Team 7-8, we have some things to do this offseason and spring. And in the end, we're also looking at a Christmas Day festivity that includes the Detroit Lions, who in some ways, I mean, what a difference a year makes, right? A year ago, we're talking prime time, 1 seed's on the line, and now both teams, one's already drowned, and the other one is fighting and gasping for air for their playoff life as well.
We've got cats and dogs at U.S. Bank Stadium on Thursday.
Ben Goessling in studio at TCO Studios here in Eagan, brought to you by Standard Heating and Air. Final segment, 9 to noon, is next.
Are you headed to the Christmas Day showdown with Detroit? Well, you can swing by the plaza outside U.S. Bank Stadium and ask our street team how you can score Papa Murphy's game day meal deals for a year. Visit the KFAN booth, KFAN.com. Keyword calendar for more details.
Personal foul, clipping. Welcome back. Final segment, 9 to noon. We were just talking just the other day. I think I was talking about it on FanLine, the 4 greatest third-round picks in the history of Vikings football. Patrick Jones found his way in a contract year. Kellen Mond struggled. Wyatt Davis, the Big Ten offensive lineman of the year, I believe the year prior. Sadly, he had his struggles. And I think Chaz Surratt, maybe?
Yeah, Chaz Surratt was the 4th.
That was the 4 best third-round picks, history of the NFL draft for your favorite football team. Standard Heating and Air is what puts Mr. Goessling in TCO Studios here. He's going to talk to the head coach around 12:50. Probably won't talk about these sorts of things, at least today, with Christmas just about 48 hours from now. They'll be preparing to battle the Kitties. When do you start to, in earnest, because it's your schedule, it's gamers, it's interviews, it's pressers, it's podcasts, but there is some 10,000-foot view related things about a team that it was talked about years ago. We're going to, competitive rebuild. What does that look like? We're going to get younger and more financially flexible. At some point, you're just going to have to turn on a dime, Ben. And start looking at, okay, well, we're definitely not financially flexible right now. And so how much does this guy make? What's the lever that this guy can pull? And you talk about Mr. Brzezinski and the magician that he truly is. He's got a lot of work to do. Jalen Naylor is somebody that we've been talking about here, PA and I have. And Jalen, really the Jalens, as PA put it with Kwesi last hour. Just 2 very interesting names in terms of what their future is with this team, how much money that potentially garners, how important they are. Redmond, for me, is a guy that, like, if you can find any way to bring this guy back. Like, I just love this guy's hunger and his production on the team. Naylor's a little trickier for me, but at some point you're going to have to start going down that list, Ben, and start picking and choosing and prognosticating into the offseason.
Yes, that is certainly going to happen sooner than later. Probably already has for me in a sense, and that's never really far from my mind, because if I bring anything to the table in this beat, it's the cap geek with the rusty accounting degree that I never really used for things other than talking about NFL salary cap stuff. Got a degree from the Carlson School of Management that I basically used to talk about Vikings salary cap stuff. Yes, they have a lot of things to figure out, and I'm tap dancing here in part to try and remember.
You have a spreadsheet open.
I do have a spreadsheet open. I'm trying to remember if Jalen Redmond, I believe he will be.
It's some like exclusive rights.
I think he's exclusive rights. I think that's exactly it.
Yeah.
So that won't cost them much to keep him for next year.
Okay.
But Jalen Naylor certainly will. And that's going to be one of those that I'm not sure they're going to have the money to do much with it, because I know there are feelings in this building about, hey, he's had enough of a year that somebody's going to say, yeah, this is a guy that could probably do a little bit more. And if he gets a decent contract on the market, you may not be able to bring him back, especially depending on what you want to do with, there's going to be a fifth-year option discussion on Jordan Addison. I would imagine they'll pick that up. And you're going to have a lot of other decisions to make financially. So it may not put them in a position to bring him back after he's had a nice year and probably will attract some attention. I think the question would be, what team picks him up? Is it somebody in the division that also may need a receiver? I mean, you could go down the list of teams in this division that he may be a good fit for. It's possible it goes there. I mean, the Packers need a receiver.
No, the Packers have 5 or 6 number one receivers, according to their own head coach, I guess. Amon-Ra, J-Mo in Detroit, Adunze basically never plays anymore with this injury, but he'll be back on the field. DJ Moore, kind of tougher year for him.
Yeah.
The second year with Caleb, kind of a tough season for him. The one thing I think about when I think about Jalen, and this isn't fair to Jalen, by the way. So Jalen Naylor.
Yeah.
I like him. I think a little bit about KJ Osborne. So KJ Osborne was a guy that, just hard hat in the lunch pail, man. Yep. He did whatever you asked him to do, whether it was special teams. He had to find his way onto the field and really work for it behind other receivers. He leaves in free agency, and it was a great moment for him, a chance to make some real, NFL money, right? He gets in, and then he disappeared, and he couldn't get on the field with a wide receiver needy, wide receiver poor Patriots team, bounced around. Maybe he was with like Washington or something.
Yeah.
There's just a little element, like we fall in love. Like, you know what I'd like for our draft picks? I want our draft picks just to play well for those first 4 years. Mm-hmm. Like, if we can get to that stage. Yep. But it seems sometimes like we really fall in love with the names we know.
Yeah.
And that's just, it's not fair to Jalen. Jalen's had one hell of a season.
Yeah.
KJ Osborne and just falling too much in love with our draft picks worries me sometimes.
That's fair. And I think you hit on something there that is kind of the lifeblood of the NFL. If you can get players in those first 4 years that produce and are young and cheap, it is a lot easier to build a team that has enough depth to succeed consistently. And then the question always becomes, do you give a player a second contract? You want to be in position, as harsh as this sounds, you want to be in a position to tell some of those players, at least some of them, not all, some, hey, it's been a great run. We're grateful for what you did here. We wish you the best on the open market, but we don't really have the capacity to pay you, which really means we don't need to because we have another guy coming behind you. Yeah. So, Ty Felton would be certainly a name that would make this easier for them. And I know internally they have some optimism about what he can be, but we haven't seen it during the season. So you want to be in a position where you can tell Jalen Naylor, hey, go out and get your money, go out and get your bag somewhere, but it's probably not going to be here because we've got Justin Jefferson paid. We've got other places where we're going to commit, and we've got people coming behind you. That is where you end up in a tricky spot cap-wise because you don't have that supply of draft picks that have produced at that level where you say, we're comfortable here. So it's what makes Jalen Redmond an important piece, because when you're making decisions on guys like Javon Hargrave, that's a bigger decision than Jonathan Allen because of the finances of it. But
yeah.
A guy like Jalen Redmond makes it maybe a little easier to say, you know what, we're okay here. And you need more opportunities like that where we feel good enough about this guy playing a larger role that we don't need to say yes to every veteran, because that's where you get in a tough spot. I mean, we talked a lot at the end of the previous regime about the lack of a middle class on this roster. It was top heavy with Kirk and Thielen and Cook and all the guys on defense that Zimmer wanted to keep around. And then you had draft picks that hadn't really become that $2-3 million player.
He was never able to replace him.
Right. You couldn't
that
replace
2017 greatness that he had on defense. He was never able to fill in the gaps as they got older.
And that team was great because the 2015 draft was an unqualified home run.
Yes, it was.
That draft, they hit a gold mine. And then year 3, all those guys are producing. Look, lo and behold, they have a team that's good enough to go to the NFC title game. And I will mention about that team, they did not have a perfect run with injuries. They lost their quarterback.
Right.
Their running back tore his ACL.
Week 4 against the Lions.
Yeah. And they were healthy largely other than that, but they survived the Dalvin Cook thing because they had Jerick McKinnon.
Yep.
They had Latavius Murray, who was a sensible free agent pickup. They were able to build a tandem. They had Case Keenum to come in. I mean, and that's
listing those names.
A pick. That's a pickup off the free agent market. But they had guys that helped them withstand some injuries. Tom Johnson is a free agent pickup too. So it's not just draft picks, but you had guys early in their contracts that gave you financial flexibility. You had starters still not making big money, although those guys got paid later, and that became kind of the downfall. But the fact that draft in 2015 produced what it did, and that team goes to the NFC title game 2 years later, those things are not unrelated, and you need drafts like that to help the success be sustainable.
Final thing, just a minute and change maybe left. Probably the final 2 games for Hitman.
I would think. I mean, you never know with him because the last couple off seasons.
I'm just going to celebrate every moment with him the next 2 weeks just in case.
That one's going to be really hard for me because he came in as a rookie. His rookie year was my first year on the beat, so I've done this whole thing covering him the whole way through. He's the last guy in this building by a few months that's been here longer than I have. In fact, the day he was drafted was the day I became a dad. So he and I have talked about this over the years, that I know exactly the day he was drafted. It was April 26, 2012. It's not hard for me to remember. And now we're like 2 old guys just wondering where the time went. But I would imagine this is probably it. I've walked out of the locker room the last 2 years thinking it was over. And I don't know if it'll go that way or if he'll say, I want to come back. I would tend to think this is it. But yeah, you have to appreciate it. A guy that is one of a kind as a player, one of a kind as a character, and certainly been a blast to cover.
Thanks for hanging out today, man.
For sure, man. That's a lot of fun.
Ben Goessling, follow him because the head coach is going to talk at about 12:50 today. You'll hear it on the Fan, and you'll hear Ben's voice asking some questions, whether it's podcasts, Access Vikings, you got gamers and articles and stories and bits, the Star Tribune, at Ben Goessling via X. Thanks for tuning in today at 9 to noon. Thanks to Standard Heating and Air for bringing you Goessling as well. It's a Wednesday Christmas Eve feast tomorrow. Buffalo Wild Wings Roseville. Would love to see all of you there with PA and Alec Lewis. I'm Nordo. Have a terrific Tuesday afternoon.
Podcast today's Paul Allen Show, or listen back to previous show and interviews by going to the iHeartRadio app or KFAN.com.